I'm very excited to introduce Jess Piper, the Dirt Road Dem, who is just, first of all, Jess, I'm excited for you because you're joining the Sexy Liberal Tour in Kansas City this weekend, aren't you?
That's so cool.
I am. I didn't know anything about it. And so when she sent it over to me, I was like, that sounds funny. Not sexy, definitely a liberal. I'm down.
Oh, you are sexy, mama. I'm just saying, I love you so much. I think you're going to have an absolute blast. We were at Dan was at this show here.
In Chicago one. It's fun.
Yeah, I got to do a few minutes ahead of their broadcast because they were taping it for pay-per-view. But you have I think it's going to be an incredible lineup, and I'm so excited for you to feel that energy of just this amazing auditorium. Many of them coming to see folks like you, and specifically you. Yeah. So that's amazing.
And if you have the opportunity, the grope and greet is really fun.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying it's an after show thing where you guys get to meet them one-on-one. It's actually really fun. You get to meet Frangela and Stephanie and all that. Yeah.
How fun. Yeah. That sounded like some cable event from the 1980s.
Right? I'm not going to lie, it's not the most family appropriate show, but it's really fun.
Oh, man. I am so proud to have known you for the last couple of years and have these conversations. I started following you on Twitter, and I was like, I need this woman in my life, and I can't believe I got to make it happen. So let's catch up a little bit. We were talking to Jess Piper, and when I first met her, I don't know if you were at like maybe 75,000 followers. You were at you've grown since then. You're considered an influencer. You could have come to the DNC. I don't know what you were doing. But you are. But the thing is, I talked to Jess when she was like, they wouldn't park near the place where they were meeting with Dems and meeting in basements and don't tell anyone we're here. How much has changed since those first conversations we had?
A lot has changed. And when Kamala got at the top of the ticket, the vibes completely changed, and the enthusiasm went through the roof. And I think it's really important to say that happened in rural spaces too. And so there are still a lot of people, who won't put signs out and stuff like that. They're worried about property damage or whatever. You drive by my house, I got 7 out. Whatever, right? They all have Vaseline on them. Try to get them out of the ground.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh, by the way, I want to mix glitter with my Vaseline on my lawn signs, which just double the
you
mess.
Can't get rid of glitter.
Yes.
So no, everything. It's more prevalent to hear people in rural spaces now saying, "Yep." And it did take a couple of years, and it's not just me. There's lots of people like me that are out there putting out the message. There are progressive folks in rural areas. In fact, that is where we came from. My grandparents and great-grandparents were all progressive, all Democrats. So just trying to get back to the space that we ceded to Republicans.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, and you call attention to this all the time. I mean, we have, when we first talked to you, I'll never forget our first conversation when you're talking about running for state rep. And when you would ring a bell or knock on a door and they would ask you if you were a Democrat and they would tell you, I'm a Christian, I can't vote for you. And you were the first person that, I knew that there were issues with defunding schools, but I didn't feel the intensity of it because I live in Illinois and there's only so many stories you can catch. And between you and Heartland Signal's newsroom, I learned so much more about the school weeks. And you guys have this thing now. Is it you or it's Nebraska, right? Nebraska is going to have it on their ballot where they're trying to save their public school funding.
Yeah, they were able to get it on the ballot. And we know this. We know every time we put abortion on the ballot, it wins. And we know every time we put school vouchers on the ballot, they lose. Because people across the country, 90-some-odd% of us went to public schools. And especially if you're out in rural areas, that's all we've got. That's the last thing in our community. Now you're going to strip us of that too? No, right? And so school vouchers are very unpopular. And it is not a partisan issue. It is bipartisan. Nobody likes this stuff. And the only reason we hear about it is because there are a whole lot of, really wealthy millionaires like the DeVosses, like the Herzog Foundation here in Missouri, Rex Singfield over in St. Louis. These folks, want their part of the pie too. And if they have to defund public schools to do it, they'll do it.
Oh man, it's just shocking to me how it's basically that idea of the frog in the boiling water, right? If you throw them in the water, they'll jump out if it's hot. But you can turn the heat up slowly, and that feels like what's happened in Kansas. I mean, in Missouri. I'm sorry, you're going to Kansas City for the Sexy Liberal tour, so I had it stuck in my head.
It's okay.
Yes, and I thank you. And I think that Missourians. I'm sorry, Jess. Missourians, yes.
Missourians.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was right the first time. Okay, Missourians. They shake their fists at Democrats for making their lives worse when it's just their local electeds who've been there for decades doing this. They're Republicans.
Yeah, and that's why it's so funny when I knock on doors and they're like, Biden, and you're like, he doesn't know where you live, friend. All he did is send you money for your internet, right? And to fix the highway. But it's your state rep, it's your state senator, it's the people. If having a GOP supermajority created this utopia, which the Republicans want you to think it would, look to Missouri. That's actually what happens. That's the tangible facts. We are 50th for teacher pay, 50th for school funding. We have some of the worst roads in this country. We are 50th for state worker pay. And our hospitals are closing. I'll tell you what just came out just a couple days ago. We live in a child care desert, so I had to drive way out of my way to get my kiddo to a daycare, and it was a home daycare. It wasn't even, like a center. It was a home daycare, and I was lucky to get her in there. But we just found out this week that 56 daycare centers in Missouri have closed because they can't get money through the Head Start program because Missouri is lagging behind. And so these people that are opening these centers are waiting for payment from the state of Missouri. It's not coming, and then they have to close their centers. So we lost 56 this year. And what's even worse is the people that are running that system, that are running it into the ground, are bankrolling the Republican governor candidate.
Because of course.
Wow.
Of course.
And wasn't
it's just like everything they get.
So was that money from the Biden-Harris administration that was going to go to daycares? Or I'm trying to think if it was actually Harris's campaign platform to give money to daycare centers so they can actually run their business and care for the kids. I don't know if it's this administration or if it was, forgive me for my ignorance in this moment, but...
No, I think it's a mixture of federal money and state money.
So Missouri got the money, they're just not giving the money.
Right. Yeah. Usually we turn back money. Like we received $42 million to feed hungry kids in the summer, and we sent it back. Yeah. Because we couldn't figure out how to get it to people, right? I mean, Medicaid, they kicked off over 100,000 kids who were actually eligible. And then the process to get them back on is weeks trying to get food stamps. It takes weeks and, hours on the phone. And that is the Republican strategy. Get it and break it, right? Make government not work.
Right. And then you fear government.
That's what they're doing. Yeah. And that's why when anybody says, how well Republicans govern, just look at Missouri. No, they don't. This is 22 years now. 22 years. And these are the problems that we're seeing. And that's why when I talk about running everywhere, that's why. Because my neighbors need to hear that because they're not hearing it. They're in information silos. Our newspapers run only conservative, articles and talk. And so we have to have people knocking doors. We have to have candidates out there in their community saying, hey, friend, this is the Republican problem. And right now it's really difficult because they just look at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, right? They've been in 4 years. This is their problem. No, the things that are, that help you every day in life, that's a state level thing.
Are you finding that, when we talk about older voters, right, because they traditionally look at the more institutionalized journalism, whether it's on the news or, as you mentioned, the newspapers, are younger people who are getting a wider range of information on social media getting involved, or are they kind of in their own vacuum, a political vacuum, and only looking at more, MAGA creators?
Yeah, so, the young people I talk to are not MAGA, but they are getting their news from alternative sources. TikTok, is a huge one for them to get. And we understand why, because a lot of times the news does fail us, I know there was a chart put out today with what happened to Hillary Clinton's emails after they were published, and then what we've seen, with Trump, what he's been up to the last couple weeks, like with, giving all those machines for COVID to Putin and nothing, right? You're not seeing much. And so, but with the young people, I mean, they're getting involved in different ways. And like I've said before, they don't like to be associated a lot of times with either party. I mean, you talk to them and you're like, you are definitely a progressive. And they're like, yeah, but, they're young and they want to do their own thing.
Well, so Jess, let me ask also, I just pulled up your website, and you are a sexy liberal lady. And that's coming from a gay man. So take that. Yeah, there it is.
Thank you, friend.
But you just mentioned that they don't want to be associated with any party. So remove the R, remove the D. When you're talking to people who are presumptive Republicans, what are the issues that you are able to find common ground on, to be like, oh, I may be a Republican, but I actually do agree with this, whatever, the platform, the Democrat, remove the D. But like, what are the issues that they are concerned about?
Almost everyone.
Okay, well, there you go.
We're the same. So they talk about, economic policies. And abortion doesn't come up, actually, very often at their door. But that's an economic policy, right? Mm-hmm. Forcing someone, to be a parent when they're not ready to be a parent is an economic issue. But up where I am, I mean, we don't have shoulders on our roads. Our schools are 4 days a week. We don't have access to union-paid jobs. So we have a whole lot of different issues. Mm-hmm. I'll knock on a door and I'll hear something about immigration, which is wild because it's 98% white, right?
Yeah.
Where? So we're almost always the same, and it goes back to what Patti would say, is that people would say, I agree with you, but I can't vote for you because I'm a Christian. So we need to realize that when Democrats ceded ground in rural America, the churches stepped in. So we don't have Democrats knocking our door, but we don't have Republicans knocking our door either. But it doesn't matter because the churches are doing the business of the Republican Party. We have Amendment 3 that's coming through where we're going to, probably vote to give women the right to an abortion again. We'll be the first state that overturns a complete ban. But right now, the Catholic churches in our area are sending mailers to all of their parishioners with flat-out lies, saying that dental hygienists will be performing abortions, that school nurses will be performing abortions, that this will enable any kid to, have transgender surgery when they're a minor. It is outrageous. Josh Hawley was just caught in a lie where he said that, and everyone fact-checked him and was like, absolutely not, Josh. Does it matter? No.
Don't even start on Josh Hawley.
I can't imagine the lies. Yeah. That man, I cannot stand that man. But here's the thing, too. He's against everything I stand for, right? He's an insurrectionist. He's a POS. But
he's a coward.
If people don't care about anything but economics, I hope they listen to this. Josh Hawley has refused to earmark $1 for Missouri in his 6 years. Not $1. He's left millions of dollars on the table that other states took because he's too good to take an earmark from the feds. And it's funny because his predecessor, Roy Blunt, who I can't stand either, brought home hundreds of millions of dollars to our state. There are buildings on college campuses named after Roy Blunt because he brought money home. Josh Hawley, not a penny. And so if people don't care about anything else, they should care about that.
I miss Claire McCaskill so much.
Wow. So, I guess that it's helpful to defund schools so you have people that continue to believe ridiculous things like that because, I can't wrap my mind around people believing that a dental hygienist or a school nurse is performing an abortion. And okay, let me take a step back because I know Jonas Bazito, our host on the afternoon show, played the audio. I'm sure you've seen this with Sally Field telling her story. Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, and there are so many women who they shouldn't have to tell that story.
No.
I'm grateful that she did, but I've watched Sally Field since I dreamt of being Sally Field. Norma Ray and Gidget and the Flying Nun and, Smokey and the Band. Everything.
Steal Magnolias. Every time I see Sally Field in a movie, I cry. It's just, she also cries in every movie, too.
That's fair. But when she told that story, she did not cry at all. And my husband mentioned that, you could tell that she hasn't told this story very often because she's really just trying to get it over with. Yeah. She just wants to put the facts out there and tell you. And we shouldn't have to ever tell anyone what happened to us, why we did it. But that was the whole point of Roe v. Wade. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you're about to be the first state to reverse a full abortion ban. How is that? Because you guys were vulnerable in the courts and you succeeded. Is that drawing a lot of people and possibly giving you the opportunity to flip some seats in Missouri?
It is going to. And so stars are aligning this year for us. If we can't do it this year, then, too bad on us, because we've got Harris at the top of the ticket. We have a woman named Crystal Quaid, who has been our minority leader for 8 years. She's a pro-choice woman, very solidly middle class, labor person. She's running for governor. And then we have, the Amendment 3 on the ballot. We know that it's progressive ballot measures always pass in Missouri, and people always say, why does that happen? And it's because it doesn't have a D or an R behind it, right? Because it's not a team sport, because you have to read the amendment, have to figure it out, and then you vote on it. So that's where something like, and I think it's going to go through, and I think it's going to bring people to the polls. But we also have Amendment 7 on there, which is about ranked choice voting, which the Republicans don't want, right? They don't want us to pick our two favorite. They want it to be a team sport. So what they did in that, it's something called ballot candy. They put at the very top, only Missouri citizens can vote in Missouri elections. Well, no kidding. That's already the law.
I thought that was a given.
Right, but they did that so that people are like, that's reasonable, right? Of course. But they're actually voting against themselves when they do that, and it'll take away ranked choice voting. So Republican policy is very unpopular, as you both know. Even in rural spaces, if we could get them to talk about policy, they would never win again,
no,
right?
Not at all.
But they're talking about bathrooms and book bans and teachers who are indoctrinating students. And so that's what they have to do to win elections. But the point is, if we challenge them in every seat, in every election, and have people talking to their neighbors, that won't win anymore either.
Oh, my God. Yeah, good. And here's something that is happening in your state, and I know it's happening in Wisconsin. I know there were Republicans in Illinois who actually tried to do this, which is put on the ballot you must be an American citizen to vote, all these sort of things that are already illegal. So tell us a little bit about these efforts and how they might be tricking voters into voting for something that will take other rights away.
Yeah, that's what it's called, is ballot candy. So they get your attention at the beginning, and people who haven't really researched the amendment get confused, right? And so a couple of years ago, I think it was 4 years ago, we passed something called Clean Missouri, meaning they couldn't gerrymander us anymore. Because you have to remember, Missouri's not a red state. Missouri is uncontested, and Missouri's gerrymandered. We are not a red state. We just can't get out of our way because of what they're doing to us, right? So we passed it, and they were mad about it. They couldn't gerrymander anymore. So what they did is the next year they put it back on the ballot, but they put ballot candy on it. And it said, the first line said, officials couldn't take more than $10 from, anybody. So it was to keep them. And so everybody was like, heck yeah, that's a great idea. And we ended up losing. And now we're dirty Missouri.
Wow. Wow, because we've talked about this before. I don't think folks were following the story when the House at the federal level was trying to attach to the budget this idea, the same thing, where you have to be show forms of different identification. And I followed you on this. I follow you all the time, but you amplified this where I caught the idea that women who have gotten married and changed their names would also be disenfranchised and lose their access to the vote. What the frickin' frack?
Well, exactly. That's not a bug. That's what it's supposed to be. People laugh all the time. You have these crazy trolls on Twitter. They're like, repeal the 19th. They mean it. They mean it. They really do. And when they enforce, abortion bans and things like that, people need to understand it has nothing to do with babies, nothing to do with women, has everything to do with control, monitoring where we go and what we do with our body, right? And so once we peel away all this stuff, you have to understand they mean for women not to vote. If you make it difficult, and people are like, oh, don't you have a marriage certificate? Actually, I don't know where mine is. I have no idea. And you know what I have taken from all of this is what I tell my girls. Don't ever change your name.
Yes!
Never change your name.
Me neither. Never did. Publicly, my name, I have a stage. Here's the thing. You can have a stage name. You can have a public name. Yeah. My name is Patricia Dora Bonin, as it is on my birth certificate. Never change.
There you go.
And sweetie, I love you to Steve, but I can't be Patty Jones. That was never going to happen. No, because for me, it was my identity. I even as a kid, I never understood why women had to do that. I was like, why do I belong to somebody else? Why do I not get to keep my identity? Yeah. And I was fortunate enough that my parents were like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. It wasn't like, okay. And my husband, although I did want to change my name, I asked my husband, I'm like, if we change names, I asked him to be like, combine them, or I could be Patti Vasquez, and nobody liked that one.
Oh, gosh.
I bet they did it.
But yeah, it is okay. So where are we now? What can we do to help you? Because that's always my focus is while we're talking about these issues and making sure people know what's happening in other states and why where Missouri goes, where Wisconsin goes, Indiana, all the where we're talking about these horrible lies that are being spread about what's happening in these hurricanes. What can we do to help? What's your call to action for our listeners?
Yeah, so it's funding down ballot candidates wherever you are, funding candidates close to you, making sure that these people can make it to your state house because they're creating the laws that are most impactful to everybody. I worked with Blue Missouri, and we just sent out $213,000 to down ballot candidates in Missouri, which let me tell you how big of an investment that is. The DNC sent $100,000 to Missouri. We raised $213,000. Me and my friend. There's two of us. It's a 2-woman organization. But that's how passionate we are. And we sent these funds to people who are in the reddest, the most difficult districts. And people are like, why would you do that? They can't flip it. I know they can't. This is bench building. This is saying, if you will do it, we support you. If you will get out in those places that people haven't heard a Democratic message, and we support a woman, there hasn't been a Democrat on her ballot since 2012. At Boot Hill, and we supported her. We sent her thousands of dollars, and now she has radio ads, and she has literature, and she has people knocking, and she has, signs everywhere and radio advertisements, and it's something that is important to us because in the end, it will matter because this is how we claw our way back, right? If we just focus on the 3 or 4 flippable districts, and I have air quotes going right now, flippable districts in each state, then we end up like Missouri, where we don't have a Democrat elected statewide because we walked away from the moral thing, and that is we ask people to run, and then we support them in their run. And that's what I would ask everybody to do, is to look at your state and look at those people who may not have a chance for 2 or 3 cycles, but invest in them and know that you're going to have a huge return. And by the way, just having someone on the ballot increases the top of the ticket by almost 2%, the voter turnout, right? Oh. So you're helping every single person by helping that one state rep knock on, 10,000 doors.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I want to tell you, I've been door knocking every weekend that I can. In Wisconsin.
Thank you for doing the work.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny. We had. There's a song called Pride of 2025. I don't know if you watch like Murders in the Building. There's an actor named Jason Kravitz who did a song called Pride of 2025, kind of a Schoolhouse Rocks. And he mentioned yesterday. It's great. Look it up on YouTube and share it. It's fantastic. But he mentioned yesterday that's what he can do. Like he's not a door knocker. It's not his thing. And I realized I'm like, I'm a door knocker. Put me on a porch. It's a show, a different show every 30 seconds. So I've been in Wisconsin. I've been going to Walworth, Wisconsin. We're doing the Kenosha. And so my question to you, because I have video of me like just doing lit drops because I can tell from the property that maybe there's a click behind the door. Someone's cocking their gun, and I'm like, okay, gotta go. I mean, when they literally have hunters live here as big signs on their lawn, I don't want to be the target. So before we let you go, what do you want folks to know about the doors that you guys are knocking on in Missouri and what your feelings are on this election cycle?
We're knocking on the toughest doors, the reddest doors, and the people who come to the door, if they do answer the door, which is another problem in and of itself. But the people we talk to, like I said, agree with us on almost everything. We're creating. It's uncomfortable. There's a cognitive dissonance when someone is standing in front of you and they're different than what Fox News told you they were, right? And so it starts there, and they may not vote for you that time, but the next time you got them thinking, like, this person taught my nephew, like, they're not eating babies, right? Mm-hmm, right. And so it goes from there. And so knocking doors is so important. Calling folks is so important. Just showing up for the candidates who really need you. And Patti, that's so important. And I'm so proud to hear that you're doing that.
Oh, I'll send you video of me running down very long driveways. I'm just like, I'm getting my cardio in, and I love it. I do love door knocking, and we've had a mixture of days. I mean, because there's your, the hard Dems, just also trying to get them engaged. Then there's your persuadables. And here's one thing that I think you have also highlighted. I know you've highlighted this. No one needs to know how you vote. That's something. Right. How are you managing that? Because I will tell you, I know that on my turf, it is a woman that's the Democrat or has voted as a Democrat, and I've had porch doors swing open with a lot of cussing and keep this out of my house and ripping up the lid. How are you managing that part of it?
Usually, I would try to call that woman. So when you're knocking on a door, it has her name, but her husband answers, right? Yeah. And he's like, we don't want any of this, right? So you can contact her, or if you think it'll put her in danger, you don't. But my thing always online is saying, no one knows. They know if you voted, but not how you voted. And with me, it's really difficult because in Missouri, you have to remind them, too, you also can't vote for Republicans this year because they're going to unwind the amendment if it passes. So we've got double layer there. But, reminding women especially, and I love those little Post-its, the people are putting in the bathroom. Fantastic.
Yeah. Jess Piper, bluemissouri.org. Is it the best website for you? For folks to donate and support the work that they do. I love seeing when you give a candidate a check. I mean, I as a former candidate, I know how important that is. Support the work they're doing, and as Jess mentioned, support all the down ballot candidates. Follow Jess Piper. Oh my God, you will not. I mean, you will not be sorry. You're going to be sad that you weren't there earlier. Is all I'm saying. I didn't realize I wasn't following you on TikTok. I'm just trying to learn how to use TikTok literally today.
It's super easy. Press the plus button and go. It's so easy.
I know, but I was just telling Dan, I just posted, I'm going to start a series. I hike a lot. I go into the woods. And so I'm going to start a chain of take a hike. I take a hike, and at the end, I tell you who should take a hike. Is going to be my theme. So, hey, Jess, can you follow me on TikTok so I can follow, I aspire to do more videos?
Absolutely. And you need to read my Substack from today.
Yes.
It's about solo camping. That's what I was talking about. We should go together.
Yes, I would love to do that. Please. Oh, and if you look at my video, I didn't have the information when we did it. We had over 100 canvassers in Wisconsin, mostly from Chicago. We're called Fibs for Wisconsin because they call us effing Illinois bastards. And
I went to college in Wisconsin, so I got called that a lot.
Yeah, and you should come with us. And in 2 days, we knocked on 2,300 doors in Walworth County.
Oh my God, you're amazing!
No, they are.
Go watch that.
No, I just showed up, and it's just a slideshow because I don't know what I'm doing yet, and I don't want to talk to the camera yet. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to do all that. You're amazing, and I will just gonna try and do that. I'm not going to worry about how my smile looks and my double chin and my hair.
Stop it.
I'm just saying. Jess Piper, the Dirt Road Dem. Go to bluemissouri.org. Support the work that they do. We look forward to talking to you. I think we need to go. Can we go every week now for the rest of the election season with you?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll probably be on the road, but I can talk from my car. So.
Excellent, my friend. God, I adore you. I can't wait till we get across the finish line. We can relax a little bit and share hot chocolate recipes or something.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you guys.
I seriously love you. All right,
nice talking with you.
Thank you, Jess. I'll talk to you
too. Talk soon.
Talk to you later. Bye.